We're turning now to matters from the Killaloe Municipal District because local representatives from the east of the county are arguing they've been dealt an effective funding cut for local and regional roads maintenance. The Killaloe MD has been allocated just shy of €7.4 million for the upkeep and repair of its roads network as part of Clare County Council's 2026 budget. It's a 3% increase on last year for the region, which contains 28% of the county's local and regional roads. But local representatives claim it's a real terms reduction when inflation is taken into account. The funding was unveiled at this week's Killaloe MD meeting, where roads were a dominant discussion topic, with proposals put forward for cat's eyes on major routes and funding for footpath repairs in a major town. Clare FM's Seán Lyons went along to the meeting and caught up with the Maghera Fianna Councillor Pat Hayes and O'Callaghan's Mills Gael Councillor Conor Ryan.
This broadcast package on Clare FM is funded by the Local Democracy Reporting Scheme.
We're in a downward decline here in terms of funding for roads. The costs going up. I suppose what I was really disappointed was the volume of money going into regional roads. And the expected by the department is to spend 10% of your, and in fact the Salfini said today 15% should be spent on regional roads. I think we're down around 3 or 4%, and I think in essence we're only doing 9 kilometres of the total 221 kilometres of regional roads. So I think we're in a very poor state at the moment, and following on from the very difficult winter we've had weather-wise, and also the challenge with the extraction of timber on our roads, we're really in a challenged position for the coming year.
And are you disappointed with the local authority and the work that they've done? They would obviously point to funding constraints from central government, but are they doing enough engaging and lobbying with central government?
Well, I think we need to do far more of that, and we need to start to look at, when I look at the funding mechanisms for other counties and I see far greater funding coming in for their roads as well, I think we need to be more proactive. I think the strategic plan that I've been asking for a long time will hopefully give us a template going forward to find funding that will actually bring up the rate of funding at present, because it is too low. We're about half of the rate is what we need in our municipal district. If we had 14 million in the morning, we'd be just about getting to the level that we need to be at.
And Councillor Conor Ryan, just bringing you in on that, you pointed to the Oireachtas members as well. You asked the question, are they working hard enough at a government level to bring the funding down? Of course, we have to acknowledge that there are a number of representatives in the Oireachtas from the East Clare region, there including one from your own party, and yet the funding isn't satisfactory. So would you like to see more being done at that level?
100%. Like, if you're listening to Cyril, it is a case that Clare County Council isn't receiving enough funding. I mean, our the roads budget, simply, although it's increased 3%, that's not in line with inflation. It isn't the case that we're even treading water, we're losing ground. No more than Councillor Hayes has said, we're going to be doing a little bit less this year, more than likely a little bit less the following year, and that builds up significantly over time. Certainly we're all speaking to our local as our Oireachtas members. Certainly I've been on to Joe Coney about it. We have 3 government TDs, one of which is a junior minister, and look, in fairness, I suppose they're doing the best they can. Perhaps we can secure further funding from government. Clare County Council itself has increased its own allocation in terms of shoring up the budget, so certainly the local authority is doing the very best it can, but look, it's unfortunately there's so many outside forces. We look at the war in Iran and everything else, and this is simply something that's going to drive up costs exponentially. But look at it is a case of doing the best we can and allocating the funding to the most priority routes.
And staying with the attempts to secure funding for works on roads, you were looking for funding today for cat's eyes road studs on the R465 amid road safety concerns there. The response did mention that there are funding constraints, that a lot of funding would be required to bring about those enhancements. Was that a disappointing response, or what was your impression of the reply you got from the MD today?
I suppose it was a reasonable response from the MD. I suppose, look, if cat's eyes could be put in a targeted fashion at certain junctions and black spots in order to enhance visibility and in order to demarcate the edges of the road, certainly there in Kilmore, you can between driveways and other issues, you can kind of be a bit blurred as to where the road margin ends and where a driveway begins. And look at it, something I think a simple measure to enhance driver behaviour and road safety. Certainly it's something that Councillor James Ryan has brought up at his end of the road in the Shannon MD, and something that Deputy Coney has broached there in last month in the Dáil. So look, I would like to see, I suppose, certain small improvements along the stretch of the Bradford-Limerick road. But look, I do appreciate that to do the entire stretch of road would be a considerable investment from Clare County Council.
So no real progress on that today?
Well, look, it is a first step, and hopefully there will be funding forthcoming from government, or perhaps an element from Clare County Council's own resources, in order to target certain key areas.
And Councillor Hayes, you had a proposal on footpaths in Tulla today, given a number of deficits and issues in that part of the municipal district. That was part of the broader discussion about roads funding, but as I say, you had a specific proposal on that. What's your impression of the condition of the footpaths in Tulla, and indeed what was your impression of the responses that you received today?
I suppose we've been planning and looking at the footpaths in Tulla a long time now. And
a bit too much looking at it happening.
And I'm a bit fed up with that sort of procedure anymore, that we're actually asking questions and putting plans. We need action. And I was delighted to get the response today that we're actually having a target response, and the new manager here in our district gave a commitment to starting working in a number of areas around the town of Tulla, and that he had secured funding for it, which is very positive news, that we actually are going to do something in the coming months in Tulla, because there's been numerous requests from people, and particularly older people, and trying to get around the town with challenging issues, and poor quality footpaths, and connectivity is really important. And I think that's really where we need to start moving, and we need to, particularly with the growth of housing in Tulla, we cannot continue to be developing houses and forgetting the infrastructure, the bare infrastructure at the centre of Tulla.
This broadcast package on Clare FM is funded by the Local Democracy Reporting Scheme.